Hello, this is JOMAJ Studios and this is our original fantasy action adventure, Slay, The Path of a Saint. Episode 4. Nii and I began to take turns following Rotimi. During the first week of Nii surveying the head boy, it seemed whatever possessed him was doing more good than harm. Rotimi wasn't at all uptight anymore. In fact, he was very popular with his peers, especially with the girls. He was more active in sports, particularly in rugby and football. He used his post as head boy to organize social events every weekend, which livened up the whole school. He even got the school to let students who broke the rules trim the grass rather than get suspended or expelled, which meant no more labor for the rest of us. After a while, Nii began to think we were suspecting the wrong guy. Until one day after school, Rotimi and his classmate Temba were forced to wait in the chemistry lab, because Rotimi had apparently told Temba all the answers to a chemistry test their class had that day. Mr. Uka, the chemistry teacher, a very strict man, went to get his hands on some sticks to flog the boys with. Mr. Uka was a tall, skinny man who seemed to enjoy beating students. I'm not just saying this because he used to beat students every opportunity he got. No. I'm saying this because of the smile that usually appeared on his face while he beat students like they were animals. After a while, he returned with a large stick and flogged Temba, who, as big as he was, cried like a baby before running out of the laboratory. And who could blame him? Mr. Uka really hit him hard all over his back. You, my friend, will receive double because you are the head boy and are supposed to set the example everyone should follow, Mr. Uka said to Rotimi as he straightened his stick. Then, Mr. Uka hit Rotimi as hard as he could to get the teenage boy begging for mercy. But his stick broke on Rotimi's back, and there was no beg for mercy. Instead, with a sudden movement, Rotimi thrust his hand into Mr. Uka's chest and ripped out the teacher's heart, causing the academic sadist to drop dead immediately. Nii couldn't believe what had just happened, and without thinking, he wanted to run into the laboratory to see if Mr. Uka was alright. But someone pulled him back into the dark corner. It was me. Nii was filled with shock, fear and panic all at once. Calm down, he's dead. There's nothing we can do for him, I said, then dragging Nii to the JS2 classroom block. There I sat him down and shared everything. I wasn't sure before, but now I'm certain Rotimi is possessed by the demon known as Kumar, a demon that feeds off one's anger. We have to do something right now. You're right, but first we have to lure it out of Rotimi's body. While it has possession over a human body, you're powerless against it. How are we gonna do that? Name calling. Call it a second thought. All demons hate to be called that. It's a term used to refer to demons that are half-human, like vampires, werewolves, and basic monsters. Calling demons a second thought is a cross between telling a fat man he's fat and telling an insecure straight man he's gay. It will anger the demon in Rotimi and force it to reveal itself in its true form, while in a weakened state. But we have to do this before Rotimi kills any more people. Once he kills 4 more people, the demon will gain full control over Rotimi, and once that happens, the demon will be very powerful. Even when in its true form, defeating it will be near impossible. If you knew all this, why didn't you do something before it killed Mr. Uka? Nii asked angrily, unable to see the point of my actions. 1, because I wasn't sure what we were dealing with, and 2, because we need to take out this demon without anyone knowing for sure it even exists, I replied, not at all angry at the tone Nii used to question me. I think it's a bit too late for secrecy. People are going to see Mr. Uka's body in the laboratory and know something's up. No one's going to find the body because Kumar has already disintegrated it. Can Rotimi be saved? Nii asked quietly, now beginning to calm down. We lost Rotimi the moment he killed Mr. Uka. Kumar may have used its power to kill, but only because Rotimi allowed it to. Rotimi has allowed his anger to consume him and is subconsciously paying for it with his soul. I then got up from the desk I was sitting on and went to face the window, before continuing. Tonight there is a party outside school and every SS3 student will be there. On the sand field, before Rotimi climbs the wall to break bounds, we must end this. That night, Nii waited for Rotimi at the sand field, while I followed him, ready to inform Nii via his watch of what plan to use. If Rotimi broke bounds alone, Nii would have to use plan A, which was to lure out the demon and slay it in the sand field. If he broke bounds with a group of friends, Nii would have to follow him to the party, wait for the right opportunity to lure out Kumar and slay the demon. Whatever plan Nii used, he had to make sure he either cut the demon's head off or cut out its heart. I advised him to do both. Before Nii knew it, he got the signal for me to use plan A. Immediately, Nii got the signal, sighted Rotimi from a distance wearing a pair of dark brown jeans and a pair of black shoes with a white long-sleeved shirt, approaching the school wall. Nii's heart began to race. It was time. The newly activated Slayer ran up to Rotimi, but said and did nothing. Hey there, Rotimi greeted casually. Hi, Ni replied, still gathering courage to provoke the demon within the head boy. Nice. Yes, very nice. Well, I best be on my way. I'll see you later. The prefect then began to walk away from Ni. At that moment, the junior boy knew he had to do something. So finally, out of sheer pressure, he shouted, I can't let you leave, second thought. Rotimi immediately stopped and turned to face him. His eyes were literally on fire, just as they were before he killed Mr. Uka. What did you call me? He asked in a deep demonic voice. It was very clear at that point Kumar was in control. While Ni was about to go one-on-one with a master demon for the first time, another problem had already developed. Right after I had signaled Ni about Rotimi's arrival, Selema came running at me with bad news. Have you seen Rotimi? He's in serious trouble. BMW are planning to give him a serious beating. They are already dressed up like ninjas and are all holding baseball bats, panted Selema. And sure enough, as he spoke, I saw all 4 gang members dressed in black ninja wear, all wearing masks, except Modukwe, holding baseball bats, heading straight for the shortcut. I, seeing this, began to signal to Ni to switch to plan B. But it was too late. He had already begun to engage Kumar in hand-to-hand combat. Hand-to-hand combat that he was losing, for as long as Kumar was in Rotimi's body, he couldn't be fully empowered. All he had was agility, which he used to avoid being hit by the possessed prefect for as long as was possible. Then things began to go so wrong. The BMW crew arrived. Rodent! Cried out Modukwe, hitting Rotimi on the back with a lot of force. The hit didn't even budge Rotimi, who was now backing Modukwe. The fire in his eyes extinguished before he retaliated. He turned around with a slap which flung his attacker violently to the ground. Modukwe was still alive when he hit the ground, but he couldn't move. Don't try to move, I quietly advised, approaching the injured teenager. I and Selma had followed BMW to the sandfields. The rest of you, get out of here! I then screamed at the rest of the gang members, who, beginning to see the seriousness of the whole situation, began to run back to the shortcut. Rotimi's eyes lit up into flames again, and in a blink of an eye, he leaped right in front of them. Why start something you can't finish? He asked in his demonic voice. The rest of the BMW crew, who were now very scared, began to frantically swing the bats at him. Rotimi was quick, strong, and ruthless, and in a couple of seconds, he literally tore them into pieces with his bare hands. There was blood and body parts everywhere. Kumar now needed only one more kill to gain full control of his host. Rotimi, after finishing off his victims, turned to where Modukwe was still lying with me sitting by his side, and pounced at him like a wild animal. Ni intercepted his attack by nudging him in mid-air, which in turn knocked him down to the floor. Rotimi, with a fully enraged demon inside of him, immediately flew up from the floor. He then grabbed and flung Ni into the wall. He didn't stop there. He then picked up the junior boy, raised him into the air, and slammed him back first onto the ground. He then was about to attempt to finish Ni off when one of Selema's well-executed flying kicks got his attention. Selema then began to fight off Rotimi valiantly and was doing kind of well until he received one of the prefect's punches in the face, which decapitated him on impact. It was a horrible sight, and the worst thing about it was Ni was in too much pain to do anything to stop it. And to top it up, Rotimi's soul was officially lost forever. Kumar, after using Rotimi to kill Selema, automatically gained full control over his body, causing the demon to laugh out loud. His laughter angered Ni so much he forgot the pain and began to focus on one thing: kill the monster now. A throne made out of dirt emerged from the floor, which he sat on. The throne then rose about 10 feet off the ground. Ni had now got up to his feet and was truly ready to end this. Kumar continued to laugh. 12 9-foot-tall humanoids made out of solid stone emerged aggressively from the ground and surrounded the junior boy. Ni was not at all afraid and was still very much focused. The stone men began to attack him, and Ni knew he couldn't afford to get hit even once by these creatures, so he made sure he didn't. That night, his agility gift from empowerment was put to the test. No matter how hard they tried, all 12 of the demons couldn't even touch him. It got so confusing for them, they began to hit and destroy each other until there was only one rock creature left. By then, Ni was fully empowered, so much so his eyes were lit up with pure white energy. The last stone man ran at Ni, who didn't move. When the demon got close enough, the junior boy shattered it with the hardest punch he had ever thrown. All through the fight, Kumar was laughing. "Come down and face me, you second thought," Ni challenged. Kumar, insulted by his words, didn't hide its anger. As it jumped down from its throne, it shed Rotimi's body, revealing a big, ugly, and vicious-looking creature. It was black in color and had the body of an ape along with sharp claws, the tail of an alligator, and the head of a deformed lizard. Immediately its feet touched the floor, it began to swing its tail at Nii, which he avoided mainly with the use of back and front flips, until he got careless and ended up being struck down to the ground. Kumar immediately pounced at him, ready to shred him to pieces. Nii rolled out of its way, brought out Bill, unleashed his saber and threw it at the demon. Bill beheaded Kumar before the demon even hit the ground. Seconds later, its body burnt up. Nii dropped to his knees, and all he could see was a victory gained at too great a cost. He got Modupe to a nearby hospital outside school, after which I went back to the field and used my contacts to clean it up. Nii, on the other hand, went back to Morimi's house and got some sleep. A couple of weeks passed. Modupe recovered and became a born-again Christian. Rotimi and all his victims were put on the missing persons list and then forgotten about some months later. Nii went into mourning for Selima, Rotimi and the 3 BMW members who were killed. At the end of the day, eternity ensures we all get what we deserve, I told him one afternoon. Nii's mourning didn't last long, for before he knew it, he was once again going head-to-head with forces of evil. That is the end of episode 4. The scripture for this episode is Jeremiah 17 verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? How could you relate this scripture with this episode? And how would you relate this scripture to your life? Leave your answers via any of JOMAJ Studios' social media platform links, which can be found at jomajstudios.com. The Fall of Nell is now available on paperback and Kindle at Amazon. For more details, go to jomajstudios.com and click on Bookstore. Also at jomajstudios.com, you can check out our YouTube page, Facebook page, Twitter page, and our Instagram page, and other website features. See how you can get involved with us at jomajstudios.com.